This is me in the tub, Harrah's Hotel, Atlantic City. What, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? But I want to show you something. I never noticed this in the picture. You see this dent, this dent in my arm, right there. There's a story behind that, and the story is, first place, why I had that bump is I had a fixator in there to heal a broken arm. It was broke right there. And that bump is where the fixator went in to hold my wrist steady so it would heal, not move. Piece of metal that went in there and another place. What happened is I was cutting down a limb in my front yard, my Melaleuca tree. I was on a ladder. I had a power saw. This is a big limb. Probably weighed about 600 pounds. So I was on a ladder cutting it down. And then my neighbor comes up to me. His name's John. He starts talking to me. What am I doing? And I'm talking back at him. The saw cuts through the limb, not all the way through, hinged at the bottom. I swore the way I cut it that the limb would fall away from me. I'm on the ladder. No, the limb come down and swung around. I don't know how it did it. It swung around and knocked me off the ladder. I went down to the sidewalk. If I was on the grass, it probably wouldn't have been bad. No, I'm on the sidewalk. I fall down to the sidewalk off the ladder, and like every fool does who's falling, you put your hand out to break your fall. Well, I broke my fall all right. I broke my wrist in the process. So all of this because my neighbor comes over and starts talking to me and distracting me while I'm sawing this limb on a ladder. So Sharon drives me to the emergency room, and I get taken in, and I get put out. And I told the doctor, I says, don't spare any expense. I want the best you can do. And he looked at me and he thought about it. Okay. And this happened to be a sports surgeon. So the best he could do, he put a fixator in there. Metal, like a metal rod. So it would heal because my wrist was broken. But I told him up front, I said, I don't care what it costs. Do the best you can. I'm glad I told him that because I known someone else who had the same thing happen to them. They ended up getting a cast. I had no cast. They ended up getting a cast, and when they took the cast out, the wrist, the arm was never right afterwards. The cast was the cheap way of holding your arm steady. The fixator was the expensive way, and it worked. And I don't know what it was, a month, 2 months later, the doctor pulled it out. I said, well, what about this coming out? I said, okay, let's try it. He yanked that out, and it was painful. It hurt when he pulled that metal rod out of my arm. Then I went back for a checkup with him like in a month, and Sharon was with me, and she said, this is like over 20 years ago. She says, he plays guitar better than before he broke his wrist. You did a good job, doctor. So anyways, that's over 20 years ago. That spot right there is the fixator bump.